Hey guys, so this week I'm doing my Fitness Friday Q&A here on YouTube. I asked you guys earlier in the week to ask your questions, fitness and nutrition related, and I promised I would answer them. And here I am. I'm about to go grab some groceries. I figured, what better time. So this first question is one I get all the time, and it says, if you are just starting to work out, what are good ways to keep yourself motivated? I've got 3 thoughts on motivation. Number 1, it starts with goal setting. You need to set goals that you not only want to achieve, but can achieve. And there are 3 tiers to that. You want to set a long-term goal, goals that, right now may not seem realistic, but that's okay. You need things to aspire for, to reach for. Number 2, a midterm goal. Maybe this is like a year from now, something that, it feels like it's within reach, but it's going to take some work to get there. The 3rd tier is the short term. So you're looking at a month or 2 out. These are goals that are definitely within your reach. It's just going to take a little bit of work. And all 3 levels of these tiers of goals, you need to write them down. I don't care if it's in your notes in your phone, if it's on a sticky note that you've got in your bathroom on the mirror, but they need to be written down somewhere. Until you write them down, these are just wishes. These are not goals. Having a goal gives you something that's a metric, that's quantifiable, that's trackable, that you can actually work towards. Just wishing for things to happen, it's like playing the lottery. Your odds aren't very good. The second thing I would suggest with motivation is surrounding yourself with motivating people. And that doesn't, I'm not that kind of person that's going to say, cut everyone off and, only have friends that are doing this, that, or the other thing. That's just not it. But you want to have friends that also have goals and are also motivated. Even if they're different goals and different motivations, that's fine. Surround yourself with like-minded people that are, willing to put in work or willing to do the right thing. If you're surrounded by people that are lazy, unmotivated, don't want what's best for you, that's going to rub off on you. So, surround yourself with motivated people, and you'd be surprised how motivated you might become. The 3rd piece that I always take from this question of motivation, at least in regards to fitness and nutrition, is that you need to have some type of trust for the programming you're on. Because I think a lot of people, everyone wants to be healthy, everybody wants to be fit. They don't stop because they don't want to be it. I think it comes down to trust, and that's trust in the programming. A lot of people get discouraged after a week or 2 because they haven't just seen phenomenal or just almost ridiculous success. Not to say it can't happen, but it's not very common and it's not likely. It takes time. Everybody wants to be fit. Everyone wants to look great aesthetically. Everybody wants to be incredibly healthy. What a lot of people are missing is consistency. No matter what kind of workout regimen or nutrition programming you're on, you've got to trust it. You've got to buy in. There's a lot of different ways to go about fitness and nutrition, but if you don't trust what you're doing, I promise you it will not work, because you're going to be second guessing this or not doing that and taking bits and pieces of it. And if you're not consistent, you're not going to be successful. But conversely, if you are consistent, you will be successful. What are the best ways to reduce or prevent delayed onset muscle soreness, also known as DOMS? And this is where, let's say you have a great workout, you're not necessarily sore the next day, and then a day or 2 later, you're all of a sudden incredibly sore. And that's what the delayed onset is. One awesome way to combat this is really taking advantage of foam rolling and stretching. So you should really be foam rolling before and after every workout if you have that availability. And if you don't own a foam roller, you can still use a baseball, a tennis ball, really any spherical object, and just dig into those muscles when you can. Stretching is incredibly important. And then one thing that a lot of people miss with this is your nutrition. If you're sore multiple days after a workout, so for one day you're not sore, then 2-3 days later you are incredibly sore, that is most likely because your nutrition is off. So you're not recovering for some reason. You're probably not giving yourself enough protein to recover. You're probably not replacing your glycogen levels enough by eating carbohydrates. And then, at that point, your fat's probably off as well. So you really need to evaluate how you're eating and get that figured out. So those are the best ways to combat that. So outside of the Q&As, this has been a really popular question in my messages. The question is, what at-home plan is best to get toned or accomplish the body that you have? The way I would suggest training, if you want a body type like mine without a gym, is doing HIIT training, and that's high intensity interval training. So I would suggest circuits of some type, and you want to get through them with a great tempo. Include some type of resistance training with it, whether that's using bands, whether that's using dumbbells, some other equipment, or even just your body weight. This wasn't the only time this came up. You know, this question here says, how do you stay fit when your friends party all the time and sometimes you want to drink with them? And from the drinking angle of that question, I would say, you know, make the decision ahead of time. You know, similarly with food, eating and drinking are both emotional decisions. So if you're leaving that decision to the moment where it matters, the chances of you making the right decision are wrong. So make the decision ahead of time and take the emotion out of it. So decide before you get to that party, or decide the day before that I'm gonna have one drink, or I'm not gonna drink, or whatever your decision is. Same with food. You know, that's why getting on a meal plan is so important, because eating is inherently an emotional decision. So if you're waiting until you're hungry to make that eating decision, the chances of making the right decision are so much smaller and so much harder. So if nothing else, I want to convey that you want to prepare, and you know, take the emotion out of your decisions. This question says, I'm starting a diet and new workout plan on Thursday after my finals. Any tips to help keep me from snacking during quarantine? So with a new nutrition plan, you know, snacks should be worked into that, or part of the equation. And whether that's one snack, two snacks, no snacks, whatever, that should be kind of predetermined. You know, I'll say this: if you're so incredibly hungry you can't possibly stop yourself from snacking, you're not eating enough. If you're on some type of nutrition plan where you're at a caloric deficit, sure, you're probably going to be hungry. In fact, you should be. But if you're so hungry that you can't possibly resist something, it's too large of a deficit. You know, not only for your physical health, but also your mental health. You know, if something's not sustainable, you're not going to be successful with it. And when I'm saying, you know, when I'm talking about a calorie deficit that's too large, you know, a good healthy starting point is start at maybe a 300 or 400 calorie deficit and work your way down from there. You know, you don't need to start at 1,000 calorie or 1,500 calorie deficit. You're going to feel like crap. You're going to have terrible workouts. Your mental capacity is going to be low. Your emotional health is going to suffer. Your mental health is going to be all over the place. And then at what point is that worth it? To lose a couple pounds? That's just not it. You need to do things that are sustainable. You know, I tell a lot of my clients, I tell all my clients, if you're trying to lose weight or if you're trying to gain weight, half a pound a week is realistic. And honestly, that's probably on the aggressive side of realistic. So that puts you at maybe a hair over 2 pounds a month. That is a sustainable, healthy target goal. And sure, if you're starting at a weight that is high, you know, let's say you're starting at 300 pounds and you're exercising for the first time in a long time, you're probably going to lose weight pretty quick in the beginning. That makes sense. But you don't need to manipulate your body or do some wild diet to do that. So this is a question I actually haven't gotten, and I'm surprised because it's a great question. It says, what's the best way to ensure I'm using the proper posture when lifting or just exercising in general? So if you go online, it's no secret that, you know, take one exercise and you'll probably see 1,000 variations of the form, and some of those are great, some of those are not so great. You know, some done by experts, some done by, you know, soccer mom in her garage. So my suggestion would be find a trusted source and use that source to verify your form. So start there. If you're still not confident, the next thing I would suggest is filming yourself. That's actually, so I started filming myself for social media content, and then it morphed into filming myself for some of my clients, and building out a back-end video glossary for my clients. And what I found was I actually had some form that was a little off, and by filming myself I was able to correct that. Try filming yourself, check your form, and see how it looks. That's the best way to correct it. And then just be honest, you know, correct the things that need to be corrected. If you're still not sure, you know, have a fitness professional look at it. Now I'm always willing to help somebody out. If you're not sure on something, you can always reach out to me. You know, that's my suggestion for that. Is this considered a cheat or necessary part of your diet? Bruh. On a serious note, for physical reasons, if you are over 10% body fat, you do not need a cheat meal. I'm gonna say that again. If you are over 10% body fat, for physical reasons, you do not need a cheat meal. You may need one for mental reasons, for your mental health. I understand that. That makes sense. I am not arguing that. But for physical reasons, you don't need a cheat meal. So this question says, my arms and chest are a little larger because of push-ups. It's a good problem to have, I guess. How do I work out shoulders at home? So I'll share a few of my favorite shoulder exercises. There's so many different things you can do. If you don't have equipment, you can start in a push-up position and do shoulder taps. It's a great way to work your shoulders in an isometric way. If you have, let's say you've got bands, whether they be with handles or not, you can do lateral raises, you can do presses, you can do front raises, and there are a lot of different variations of these, and I'll go ahead and share some of those in this video. Let's say you have dumbbells, you can do a lot of the same things I just mentioned with bands, whether it be raises, front, lateral, presses. There's different internal, external rotations you can do to work your shoulders. So any motion that is taking the lateral side of your arm away from your body is going to be using your shoulder. Any motion that is pressing overhead will be using your shoulder. Those are the two major functions of your shoulders. So recreating those motions with resistance are going to help build your shoulders. So I was hesitant to put this in there, but I'll go ahead and read it. Is it possible for my stupid fat ass to get fit, or is this all a trick? I promise you that I don't have any tricks for you. If I had a way to snap my finger and make you have a six-pack by tomorrow and have hit all your fitness goals, I wouldn't be sitting in my car sweating my butt off recording a YouTube video. I'd be retired on an island somewhere. But with that being said, it's not a trick. I'm here to help you. I know a lot of other trainers that are out there that are just trying to help. And from a different angle of that question, this is possible for you. This is possible for anyone. Fitness is a lifelong journey. You take where you are today. Maybe you're somewhat fit. Maybe you're not fit. Maybe you're super fit. It really doesn't matter, because you're going somewhere, and you get to decide. I might be super fit right now, take an entire year of eating like crap and not training. I'm going straight downhill. You might be watching this video right now, making a bunch of bad health choices. Maybe you're overweight, or maybe your blood pressure's high. Maybe you've got all these health issues. But then today, you just start making the right choices. You start building on those right choices. You start having consistency and doing the right thing, and you start trending up. A year from now, you might be fit as you've ever been. So it's not a trick. You just got to learn the right things to do, and do them and do them with consistency. I promise it's not as hard as it sounds. I would encourage anyone that's listening to this that has a similar thought like this to change your perspective and just to give this a chance. Nothing's going to happen in a week. Whether you're doing a bunch of good things, a bunch of bad things, you're not going to change a ton. But if you stack some good weeks in a row and you're consistent, some good things are going to happen for you, I promise. So that's my encouragement to you. I'm giving this question like 30 seconds and then I'm tossing it. Is keto good for my abs? Keto is good for virtually nothing. The few things I can think of that keto are good for, there's studies that show it's potentially good for your brain, being in ketosis. It's actually part of how that diet was developed. Outside of that, it doesn't make any sense to cut out an entire macronutrient from your diet. So the keto diet is heavy on it's heavy on fats, heavy on proteins, and it cuts out carbs almost completely. That makes no sense. Your body is designed to need all three of those. So trying to trick your body into metabolizing one of them in a different way, in a way to possibly lose some weight in the short term, makes no sense. Outside of it being long term not great for you, in the short term, it's hard to do, which is going to make it unsustainable. So if you go from doing a keto diet to rebounding and have a bunch of carbs and go back and forth like that, that's almost worse than even just doing it, because then you're getting the worst of both. So I don't recommend it. So this one says, are you a model? I used to be an agency side model, and and an internationally published model. I was signed with all the major markets here in the United States, and I was fortunate enough to work and do a lot of cool things, have a lot of cool experiences, meet a lot of cool people. But for me, it was always a means to an end. I knew I could build a social platform, and I could, have the freedom and be able to travel and do other things and get to my ultimate goal, which was working for myself. The second my first fitness company, Trevor A Training, became sustainable and I was able to live off of that, I stopped modeling, and I haven't done any legitimate modeling, booked work through agencies or any booked shoots through the agencies or any commercial work now for a couple of years, and I don't intend to go back. But really cool experience. So if you're still watching, thank you so much. I hope you got a lot out of this. If I didn't get to your question, I apologize. Admittedly, I got hundreds of questions and I only took a handful of them, so I'm sorry for that. If I didn't answer your questions, by all means, message me. I'll answer it for you. I try to do these Q&As weekly, whether it be Twitter or Instagram. I think occasionally I will switch it up, put some on YouTube. I think it's a cool way for me to just connect in a different way. So if you've got questions, send them my way. I'll work them into one of my Q&As. But if I missed your question for this, message me. I'll answer to you, and I'll message right back. I hope that someone out there found some encouragement from this. Fitness is a lifelong journey. This isn't one decision, one choice, one workout, one meal. None of those things are going to make or break you, but if you stack a bunch of good decisions, you're going to be successful. It's just a matter of time. So